Hi friends, welcome to another Sunday with Sarah. I'm Sarah Baldwin, and today I am going to share with you 5 mistakes that I made as a parent. One of my favorite quotes is, "There's no way to be a perfect mother, but there are a million ways to be a good one." So I want you to remember that. But I'm not perfect, no one is. But along the way, these are 5 things that if I knew then what I knew now, I would do differently. And the first one I'm going to share with you is my choice of toys. Before I discovered Waldorf education and brought new consciousness to the ways I parented and the kinds of materials that I now advocate for children, our house was full of plastic toys. I was reminiscing with my oldest son, Harper, and we were remembering when his baby brother William was born, and we wanted Harper to bring a gift to welcome the new, that we wanted the baby, we wanted to have a gift for the baby to give his big brother to help Harper with the transition. At the time there was a cartoon or popular toys that were really dreadful looking called Street Sharks, and I knew Harper really wanted one, so I just have to laugh when I think about it now that we bought this awful plastic scary looking toy, this Street Shark, to be a gift from his newborn baby brother to Harper. And that is one thing that I definitely would do differently if I could do it all over again. It was only later, after I discovered Waldorf education and started studying early childhood, my whole consciousness changed about what are appropriate toys for children, toys that are beautiful, encourage imagination, made out of natural materials, the kind that we sell now at Bella Luna Toys. The second thing I would have done differently if I could was to not turn the TV on. When Harper was preschool, we watched TV. I had not yet discovered Waldorf education. I did not know then what I know now about the effects of screen time on young children. And I thought I was being a good mom because we watched PBS and I let them watch educational shows. I remember a mothering meeting at my house and the children were playing in Harper's bedroom. He had a TV in his bedroom, another thing I would have done differently. And one of the mothers asked if I would mind turning the TV off while the children played. And I remember feeling so judged and defensive about it. But now I see her point. It's a really hard thing to do when you're at someone else's house and ask them to turn off the television. I think now she did the right thing. But I know now that even educational shows or PBS, they're still robbing a child of playtime and movement, and that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends no screen time at all for children under 2 years old. Of course, later when I discovered Waldorf education, I learned so much more, and I've done other videos and written and talked about our family's decision to finally turn off our TV. One of the best choices I think I ever made as a mother. The third mistake I feel I made was being too much of a helicopter parent. Now, so much has been written about this in recent years, and I would say from my children's early years, even through their teenage years, maybe they would even say now I'm still guilty of it, especially in their early childhood. I would make sure their lives were a little less scheduled, and that they had more free time to play without adult supervision. Children today are so overscheduled with music lessons, with sports, with all kinds of after-school activities. In addition to homework that they're given, they have so little time to just dream and relax and explore and be a kid. My generation, people my age, when they think back to their childhood, remember days where we'd come home from school and we would just take off with our friends. In my neighborhood, we had fields we'd explore in. We'd take off on our bikes. Our parents didn't know where we were. We didn't have cell phones. And we knew to come back by supper time when it started to get dark. So few children today have that experience anymore. We're afraid to just kind of give them that freedom. So based on my experience, my advice to you is be sure to allow some unstructured playtime and downtime for your kids, and make sure that not every minute of every day is scheduled. So number 4 is interesting. When I was preparing for this video, I was talking to my son Harper and asking him what he felt the biggest mistakes I made as a parent. For him, when he was in high school, I was very determined not to let him see R-rated movies before he was 17. And I learned that he really resented that and pointed out that he was really pretty mature by the time he got to high school, and that my rigidity around it was embarrassing to him when he had friends over or friends were going to an R-rated movie. I'm not really advocating you let your child see R-rated movies before a certain age, but in hindsight, I wish I'd been a little less strict about it, and I wish now that perhaps I would have watched R-rated movies with him, and then we could discuss it, or discuss the questionable scenes in a movie. There's a really excellent website I'd love to recommend to you called Common Sense Media. It helped me a lot, and it's still there as a guide. Any current movies that come out, there will be a synopsis, why it got the rating it did, issues that you can bring up with your child about whether it's violence or sexual situations. I highly recommend that, but I wish that I had just trusted the maturity of my kids a little more with them when they were in high school, so that we didn't get into to battles over it. And as you may know from past videos, my son Harper has grown up to be a movie maker and a cinematographer, and so he had a real interest in film. And the 5th thing I want to talk to you about, the one thing more than anything, I wish I could go back and do differently, would have been to be less fearful. As a young mother, I was probably like many of you. I was afraid of so many of the dangers I read about in the media, dangers to my child, whether it was, lead paint or child abductions or predators. And these are legitimate things to be concerned about. But remember, a young child, we want to let them know they've come into a safe and loving place in the world. When we are consumed with fear, we transmit that to our children, and it causes a great deal of anxiety for them. So I would urge you to keep your fears into perspective. Don't transmit them to your child. And wanted to share with you a very personal story. When my kids were older, when they were teenagers, I worried about so many things and all the dangers that teenagers can face. And I was meditating one day, and while I was meditating, I had this vision of my heart that was just padlocked with heavy iron chains and big iron locks. And as I thought about it, I realized the chains represented fear. And I've always been fascinated with this spiritual concept that the opposite of love is fear. We always think that the opposite of love is hate, but in fact it's fear. And when our heart is feeling fear, it can't feel love at the same time. So in my meditation, I just saw those chains breaking away and the padlocks flying off. And I realized in that moment what my children really needed right then was my love, and I wasn't able to give it to them as long as my heart was chained with fears. So I hope you'll remember that if you have young children, as your children get older. Just try to let go of the fears. Trust that they will be taken care of, that they'll make good decisions, and that you'll always be there for them with a heart full of love. So thank you for watching. Please leave your comments. Have you made parenting mistakes? Please share them with us. And I wish you just much joy and blessings on your parenting journey. If you're enjoying these videos, please don't forget to subscribe to the Sunday with Sarah YouTube channel. And if you click the little bell icon on it, that will notify you anytime I post a new video. So thanks so much for watching. I look forward to your comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.